bullshit.
He watches his mother shoot his father 3 times in the back.
I'm Mr. Blackman, they're the plebeians.
Do I look like Quasimodo to you?
What about Johnny Lauer? What about China?
Sheik, speak to the deathbed.
Adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush
I got little to say about TNA except that the pacing of the show was better again, second week in a row. But this was a show, it was over, and nothing stuck with me, just like the old days. But at least it wasn't an annoying level of not sticking with me.
I did not hate the show, but and it had a better pacing. But I only remember 2 things, and none of which are terribly good. Well, I guess one's okay. Hold
on, before you get into it. I think what I'm trying to say is, before I got annoyed because it felt like there was a lot of stuff they wanted me to know, and the way it was booked, it was impossible for me to know this stuff.
Okay.
Now it's like there's stuff they want me to know, I could know, but I didn't care.
I think that's a big thing, yeah.
There you go.
Their main event angle is not working.
Sure.
But there was a decent little tag match they're doing a rematch of on the pay-per-view, so I'm excited about that. And Christian Cage is, I think it's safe to say it now, just about an absolute failure as a world champion, at least as a babyface. Because his match with Alex Shelley was very boring.
It was very boring. I thought his promo was all right at the end.
Promo was good.
But it was because it's very short.
Yeah.
There was complaints that Christian was not getting enough time to cut promos. I'm starting to think it wasn't a time. His promos aren't that good.
Yeah.
Was it just that he was a heel in WWE?
I think it's a big part of it.
What the hell?
We've had
is
this
the problem
conversation
with
before.
Christian?
Someone out there claims he was a babyface for a long time. I don't think so. And if it was when he was just starting and
it was
in
a
a
babyface
totally
of the tag team where they weren't.
in a totally non-speaking role.
Yes.
But all his great smart-ass promos, he was always the cocky chicken shit heel. And now he's supposed to be the hero, and it's not working.
He's a very poor hero these days. The 2 things you remembered on the show?
Those are the 2, the tag match and Christian, and then third one would be the main event angle, which is not working. With Sting bringing out the wacky, washed-up WCW star and then pointing out, this is not the man you're going to see in the pay-per-view.
It really sucked this week. The stupidest part about this week, which was so stupid I was laughing my ass off. Sting's like, well, you didn't pick, so I'm going to tell you who this man is. He is a former All-American wrestler from the University of Michigan or whatever. He is currently a real estate broker for
blah blah county in Georgia.
Wacky realtors in Cobb County. And all this time, Scott Steiner's like,
who could this be?
Who the fuck could this mystery man be? And it turned out to be his brother.
His older brother, Ricky.
It's like, wow.
Whatever the hell his real name is.
What a dipshit you turned out to be. He does not know how many sides are in an octagon.
That's also true.
So this does make sense. But, yeah, that was the whole deal right there. And I cannot believe the one thing I remembered you forgot. Proves what an idiot you are.
Oh, God.
Kevin Nash.
Okay. That was funny. You want me to go on then?
Do I need the
speak sign?
I need an office.
What was it that you remembered, Brian?
Kevin Nash.
Just in general?
Why don't you talk about it?
Well, Alex Shelley was interviewing Kevin Nash in Nash's hotel room, and Nash could not understand why TNA had not called him for a job. They were calling it Steiner and Sting and everyone else, and Kevin Nash produced a graph, a chart, showing the success of the WWF in the 90s, and it was a year-by-year chart. Down to the bottom, he had the various champions listed. And it started off, they were doing well with Hulk Hogan as champ, and then Bret Hart was champ, and then business plummeted. And then Kevin Nash was champ, and he said, and it made, and I quote, $100 million, which I'm not sure, I believe is not true.
He's lying.
He's lying, yes. And then he pointed out that it fell down again for Austin and Rock. And just seeing it up there with it peaking for Nash was mildly funny, I guess, but I didn't laugh or smile or anything. But when he said the words $100 million, I laughed out loud.
Nash is funny, but this was so goddamn stupid. So many different ways. He buried everybody.
Yes.
He buried everybody. And I guess the way they're defending it is Nash is crazy. That works if you're Vince McMahon. where you're 60 years old and people really think you're crazy.
When you're on TV cackling and howling and sweating, and Kevin Nash was very calmly sitting in the chair at his hotel room.
He's 46 years old. He says enough witty stuff that you know he's got his wits about him, and then he just fucking buries all your guys. It's just...
He did. He buried the X Division.
Or
I think they teased he's going to bury the X Division, but...
This was the epitome of stupidity in terms of how to use an older guy or a legend. What the hell is this going to accomplish? He's going to have a shitty match, fakes put somebody over, and they'll be even in a worse position than they were when they had the match. What the fuck is the point of this?
And isn't Alex Shelley in the X Division?
Shouldn't
he get annoyed when Kevin Nash buries it?
No, of course not, because that would make sense. This whole there's some problems. You know what I mean?
Oh, there's a lot of problems.
This writing crew ain't working.
Well, that's clear. The shows are better, but none of the programs are terribly intriguing.
And I don't know what the problem is, because you've got a lot of guys on the writing crew with good wrestling minds, but it's not working. I don't know. I don't even know whose fault it is. Can you blame one guy? Do you blame all 5 guys?
Maybe, I don't know.
Are the 5 guys being required to do certain things where it's out of their hands? I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know. Maybe the problem is there's 5 guys and each...
I know the answer is it's not working. That's the only answer.
The answer is it's not working.
And here's the thing. Let's say Dixie Carter called me tomorrow. She's like, "You want to have dinner?" I go, "Sure, baby."
Good for you.
Yeah. Then she said, "Okay, seriously though, Bryan, what should we do with the writing crew?" I don't even know what I would answer.
Yeah.
I have no answer. It's not like, if somebody asked me, what could we do about the WWE writing crew? I'd say, well, I can think of 100 things. First off, your lead writer being Stephanie is an issue.
Yeah.
There are a lot of guys with a lot better wrestling minds, many of which you've got under contract that you've given a shot, this, that, and the other thing. With TNA, it's like, Mike Tenay's not an idiot.
No.
If Scott D'Amore took himself on TV, I don't think he's an idiot. Borash was on our show, he's not an idiot.
No.
Dutch Mantel's not an idiot. He did fine in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I realize it's another country. This should not be as big a failure as it is.
Maybe the problem is there's 5 guys instead of 1 guy in charge. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
The only thing I can possibly think is when Tenay was on Observer Live, he was talking about how they never seem to have a problem. They're always getting along. And maybe that's the problem.
It could be.
Maybe the problem is they need to have some problems.
Maybe they need to get in a fight once in a while. I'm wondering, like things like the Nash deal. Maybe the problem is there's no one guy. When something goes wrong, if there's 5 guys on the writing team and they're all equal, when something goes wrong, there's no one person to take responsibility for it. Maybe there was one guy who was in charge, and he was the head guy, and when something went wrong, it all came down on him. Maybe then something would get done about it.
But I think they've had that. It's been Jarrett.
Oh, well. Oops. My bad.
I don't have an answer, kids. If anybody has an answer, this would be actually a topic of discussion for the discussion board, believe it or not. I don't think we've ever actually suggested a discussion topic for our discussion board.
No.
Somebody please explain this to me. What the hell's wrong with the fucking TNA writing crew? How can it be fixed? How can it be remedied?
Didn't the rating drop this week?
No, it's still at a 0.8
Still
or 0.9 or whatever.
0.9.
Yeah.
The most consistent show there's ever been.
It's consistently nothing.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And the argument that nobody knows about it, this, that, and the other thing, doesn't work because they've gotten 1.1s, they've gotten 1.2s, they've had lead-ins at 1.25, which, that's 50% higher than they're averaging.
Yeah.
And those people don't give a shit.
And they don't stick around?
They don't stick around.
And they don't come back next week?
No. And people are going to be... And the other thing is, let me just give the example of this website. We don't really do a hell of a lot of advertising. We don't, a lot of radio shows, they have the recap that they send to 8 million sites to try and direct traffic to their site. We don't really do that. No ads in magazines, nothing of that nature. It's a lot of word of mouth. And this site has grown quite a bit with word of mouth. So if TNA was putting on this hot product, the fucking word of mouth should spread rapidly. But they're still getting the... What the hell was that?
Pardon me. I coughed.
Are you even listening to me?
Yes, you're talking about word of mouth.
They're not getting strong word of mouth. because the show's over and people aren't running and telling their friends, you got to watch this show next week. I've never told anybody that in my whole life.
About Impact? Oh, no.
Do you notice I guess I shouldn't say that. I have told Tony you should watch this match on Impact. And he usually doesn't even do that. But sometimes he does. It doesn't hook him. He doesn't go back the next week. But it just, I don't do it. And I'm always telling people you got to watch Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Word of mouth spreads like wildfire. And that's why that show started out at a 1-9 or whatever, and it's still doing a 1-8, 1-7, 1-6, whatever the range is these days. But it's doing very well. So help us out, kids. We actually started this week with TNA last night. TNA rating came in at a 1.
That amazes me. And
the demographic numbers were very, very strong, so I don't know what to make of that.
I guess maybe the mystery about who Sting's partner is going to be worked.
Maybe,
it didn't seem like good TV to me, but apparently maybe it worked.
Well, I can say this. I don't have an answer. I may have a better answer on Monday when I get the quarters and everything like that and the breakdowns, but as of right now, all I know is 1.
Right.
A 1.0.
And that's good.
I cannot give it the credit of the Sting deal because we were supposed to know about Sting's partner last week. That was a tease throughout the show, and they didn't deliver.
I see.
So it didn't help the show last week. Why would it have helped the show this week?
I don't know.
But this show made me sad. I mean, I don't want to see any company die. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see TNA go out of business. I don't want to see a bunch of guys lose their jobs. It was a very miserable time when WCW went down.
Yeah.
I mean, WCW sucked. We made fun of it every single week. It was shit.
I miss Thunder.
Well, you miss Thunder now in hindsight. Yeah. But if you were watching that fucking show every week, I guarantee you wouldn't be sitting here saying that. If SmackDown goes under, 6 years from now you'll go, I sure miss Great Khali.
No, it's
and
different.
Rey Mysterio. Yeah, it's different because you're fucking watching it right now.
No, it's different because what I remember about Thunder is things like Ron Harris complaining his head was going to fall off.
Exactly, and you're going to look back when SmackDown's dead, which it may be in September at the rate this fucking show is going. You may look back in September and go, God, remember the Great Khali when he buried the Undertaker?
No, you're missing the point, though.
You'll look back on that and laugh.
No, you're missing the point. Thunder always made me laugh at the time. SmackDown does not make me laugh.
We laugh at Great Khali.
We did not laugh tonight at him.
This was different. We didn't laugh at fucking Don Harris every week either.
We laughed when he said his head was going to fall off.
One time.
And he said it was sad.
Anyway, the point is, you are going to look back on this someday and you'll miss it. But what the hell was the point of this rant?
How
TNA.
Stupid. TNA, yeah.
So I'm sad that TNA is going to die because this was a week where I was like, it's imminent. I mean, let's look at it this way. Yes, they got it won. TNA, I'm sure Spike's happy. They say they're happy every week. They're happy with the demographic numbers and everything like that. Spike ain't supporting the show.
Right.
Panda Entertainment is supporting the show. They could be getting a 25 rating, and if Panda was still losing $1 million every 3 months or whatever the fuck the numbers are, they wouldn't be happy. And they're still losing money. They're losing money hand over fist. And what's left?
I don't know.
They've pulled out everything. They've pulled out the big stars. They've pulled out the move to Thursdays. Here are the two trump cards they've got left. Goldberg, which they probably ain't going to get. So the question is, how long can you string that carrot before Panda goes, fuck this. We ain't getting this guy. The other trump card they may have is an hour-and-a-half show. That's always the other one. We need an hour and a half.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know if they'll get that. So how long can they string that carrot along? Aside from that, what have they got? Well, I mean, what is the bright light at the end? If you were Bob Carter, what's the bright light at the end of the tunnel for you? You're losing millions of... You've lost $30 million probably by now.
Yeah.
Like, you've lost $30 fucking million. What can Jeff Jarrett come up to you and say, hey, listen, everything's fine. We just got a one. Our pay-per-view may do 30,000 buys.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to see Sting and Samoa Joe as a team. What is the bright light you've got at the end of the tunnel?
The only thing, if it were my job to pitch to Bob Carter to keep this company alive, the only thing I'd have to cling to is that Samoa Joe is going to be the next crossover star. And God bless Joe.
Okay, and I'm Bob Carter. How is Joe going to be a crossover star?
because people buy him as a legit ass kicker.
But how does anybody? Okay, to be a crossover star, you got to get into the crossover, the mainstream. How's this guy going to cross over? Is there a Polynesian reality show we're going to put him on? A dance show?
No.
Okay, so how's this guy going to cross over?
Other crossover stars have gotten over just by being on wrestling. Steve Austin was not doing reality shows when he got it over.
Okay, Jeff. Steve Austin had 6 million people watching him every Monday night. We've got 1.
You've got to hope that as Joe becomes the next star, that
Hold the fucking plug, Dixie.
Fair enough.
It's over.
Yeah,
it's over. I don't know. I don't want to. What can I say?
The show, I agree, because it was the third hour of tapings they'd done that night. The crowd was beyond dead and apathetic and did not care. It was boring.
Same stuff.
It was utterly missable.
It's built around an X Division, X Cup, some sort of wacky tournament. I mean, King of the Ring, we used to complain because King of the Ring didn't have brackets. That was our big complaint. There's no brackets. When in reality, there was only 8 men. And you really didn't need brackets unless you wanted to know what's the next match. Okay? This X Cup tournament, this is more than not having brackets. You would need brackets. You need graphics on the screen throughout the show.
You need an elaborate flow chart.
Let me thank God for Keith Lipinski. Keith sends me this daily update that he does. The Dr. Keith Notes, I think it's called. I'm going to go to today's Dr. Keith Notes here. Not the one that reads pure crap. This one, Dr. K Report. Here's how this tournament works, okay? You've got 4 teams. Team USA with Chris Sabin, Jay Lethal, Alex Shelley, Sanjay Dutt. Team Mexico with Shocker, Magno, Puma, and Incognito. Who the fuck is Incognito?
Exactly.
You don't have Conan on this team or one of the LAX, some Hispanic. You've got Incognito.
You had to get an authentic Mexican no one had ever heard of.
Team Japan with Liger, Black Tiger, Minoru Tanaka, and Hiroki Goto. Liger's not even been seen yet. Petey Williams, Eric Young, Tyson Dukes, who has not been seen yet. Yes.
What?
Johnny Devine.
You just made that name up.
And then here's how the tournament works. There's a first round where they're all tag matches, and every win is worth 2 points. There's a second round where everything's a single match, and every match is worth 3 points. There's a third round where there's a gauntlet match, and the winner gets 5 points, and the runner-up in the gauntlet receives 2 points. I swear to Christ I'm not making that up.
No, you're not.
How the fuck is anybody supposed to follow that?
And why is anyone supposed to care?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't have the answers to any of these questions. I don't know. I have no answers for TNA. I think, every day I think, what could be done to better this company? I can think of a million things that ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Sign Rock. That ain't happening. Sign fucking Gold. That ain't happening. Raid a bunch of WWE. That ain't happening. What can be done? Move to Mondays at 9 o'clock with an hour and a half. That ain't happening.
No.
With what they've got and what they can have, I have no answers. There are no answers. The only answer is death.
That sucks. And I can't disagree with you. There's zero signs of, and let's face it, a 1.0 is, first of all, it means nothing if none of those people buy the pay-per-view. And, it's the same 0.9, 1.0 at the beginning for the past several months.
And this is
There's
not...
nothing. It's stagnant.
This is not Brian's bitter. Brian hates TNA. Brian doesn't like... This is nothing with me, with you. This is not even internet people. Ask the man on the street. I talked to Derek. I go, there's a TNA pay-per-view Sunday. He goes, again? Already? I was like, yeah. Derek's as casual as they come. He's not even on the internet.
I was going to say, most people, you ask them, you say there's a TNA pay-per-view, and they'll say, what?
I go, do you have any interest in coming over? It's totally free. I'll pay for everything. There will be food here. He's like, you want to see the show for free.
And
Craig doesn't bother watching the show. I hear from people every single day. There's like, I can't even watch TNA anymore.
Yeah, the saddest part was, I also get the Dr. Keith notes, and I was looking, and I saw the Sacrifice pay-per-view card, and I thought, oh god, there's a pay-per-view on Sunday. And then I sat down and I looked at the card. It looks good.
Sure.
There's a lot of good matches on there.
And it's going to be a good pay-per-view.
Yeah, there always are.
That ain't going to do a shit's worth of good is the saddest part.
They're just fucked.
And there's like no, it's like they're just being sucked into a black hole and there's no escape. There's no escape. Even the light cannot escape in TNA.
No.
The Samoa Joes, nothing can escape this black hole of, I don't know what. Just... TNA Sacrifice was a good show. I had no desire to see this going in, as usual with TNA pay-per-views. Even though they're almost always good, you just never know. Could be a bad one. I wrote a preview on Amazon, which a lot of you read. I think I did a pretty goddamn good job with my predictions, including the Rhino-Bobby Roode match. Perhaps I was the only man in the world who thought Bobby Roode had a chance. He did, and he won.
He sure did.
He won. Rhino may not be with TNA much longer, kids.
Yeah.
He may be returning to WWE.
Or, more specifically,
to ECW.
ECW.
So anyway, it was a show. They had the X Cup tournament. They had a bunch of big matches. The biggest match, the real main event of the show, was the Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner versus Samoa Joe and Sting match, which was goddamn near perfect.
Really, yeah. There's not much else they could have done better.
I did have some complaints, but we'll get to that as we get going here. The opener, X Cup, Jushin Liger versus Petey Williams. Jushin Liger needs to just go back to Japan.
Because every time he comes to America, something horrible happens.
I thought that after this match, but then I thought it even more after the gauntlet, but we'll get to that in a little while. They had a short match. It was fine. Nothing spectacular. I guess there was a Liger bomb that knocked out Cable worldwide. Didn't even see the finish of the match. We ended up learning later on that the CTU group, Liger's heel group, had interfered, and
Liger won.
Liger defeated Petey Williams here in this match. It's fine, nothing spectacular, just an opener.
Now, the only really memorable point was when Petey went for the Canadian Destroyer, which is, of course, the silliest move ever. Maybe not anymore. It's a very silly move, and Liger countered with a palm blow, which is the most basic move ever, and I like that spot a lot.
Then we had a deal that was so stupid. The biggest problem thus far for TNA, the last 100 years or so, hokey, shitty skits.
Mm-hmm.
And we had another one here. What's with the leg?
I have nervous energy, and I'm shaking my leg. And
what are you nervous about?
Well, it is 800 degrees in here.
That makes you nervous? What, are you thinking you're going to melt?
Okay, now I'm just shaking my leg to irritate you.
Okay, well, knock it off. If you're hot,
right.
Why would you do that? You're going to heat up
I don't know
more.
why.
Okay, well,
Jesus.
Please stop. And calm down.
I'll stop.
Don't get so excited on this show over such stupid stuff. Listen.
Here we go.
You've eaten all day today.
That is true.
You have eaten everything under the sun. You want to go eat that piece of cake over there? Will you feel better if you had that piece of cake?
No, not even a little. If I eat that piece, I brought Bryan a piece of cake because it was given to me by my mother, and if I tried to eat it, I would explode and die. In that order.
That's right.
And Bryan is also shunning the cake. It's over there, and I can't handle the cake right now.
So anyway.
So listen, I'll sit still.
That's right. Just sit still. I didn't see a reason. The reason it was driving me crazy was there was just tapping in my earphones, which everybody else can hear as well.
I see.
Plus, it's hot in here, and I don't need any more movement.
Well, that's fair.
Where the hell were we? AMW, Gail, and Jackie doing a promo backstage. Jackie was still crying. The highlight of this actually was Jeremy Borash, of all people, who said, "Jackie, seriously, you've cried for like 4 weeks now. What's going on?" Which I'd been thinking as well. She had not stopped crying since the tapings, which were 4 weeks ago. And she revealed she's pregnant.
Bum, bum, bum.
And then Gail fired her.
Everyone was angry at her for being pregnant.
Fired her from what, you ask? She was not hired. She had been blackmailed by a mystery tape.
Yeah.
Which the mystery tape has vanished.
Mm-hmm.
So they fired her from being blackmailed, apparently.
Yes.
So Jackie left. This whole thing, I don't understand any of it. It was so stupid. And I believe just a couple days ago I was ranting and raving about long-term storylines that build and build and build to nothing. Well, here you go, kids.
Fine example.
Here you go. That was the big payoff. Jackie's pregnant,
and they
she's
fired
been
her,
fired.
and that was that.
Yep.
The only thing that saved this promo even a little bit was James Storm's line about to AJ Styles after the splash at the top of the cage, the last pay-per-view, when he said, "I'm still breathing and I'm still drinking."
That's right.
He's a man among men.
He's a drinker. Lost my notes. AMW and AJ Styles versus Daniels. AMW versus
try that again?
AJ Styles and Chris Daniels. We need a song. I just need something here.
What's with you today?
You! We are back here on Figure 4 Daily, and we are joined by Iron Sheik. How you doing?
The great feeling all time I had all my life. And besides that, everything was great.
Now, how did you first get involved with Ultimate Fighter? How were you approached? Did you see... I mean, how exactly did that come about?
You asked me excellent question.
Wow.
No any sport event in your country sold out Madison Square Garden for the God and Jesus and Mr. McMahon.
How do you balance...
Oh, professional.
Good God.
I respect your push.
Sure you do. Because you mentioned earlier, we were talking a little bit about the Sheik video. You were part of the most highest Ultimate Fighter of all time and a rampage through the house. And looking back, what are your thoughts on that blood sport?
Brim, you are another faggot son of a bitch.
Bullshit.
You are fag, you are punk, little gay.
I love that other cock. I could have fucking sworn...
I never respect the gay. I never respect the fag.
Fantastic. I will eat my hat. What was the penalty, by the way, for the first season if you revealed any of the results?
Break his back, make him humble, and then fuck his ass.
Oh. Yeah, I remember that it was some ungodly, absurd amount of cock. That sounds like the most horrible thing that could possibly happen to a fighter. Thank you very much for doing the show today. I know we're pretty much out of time, but before you go, could you be Brian Blair?
You are worse than Hulk Hogan.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll be back on tomorrow. It is the weekend Bryan and Vinny show. We've got Dave Meltzer, of course, put us into camel clutch, break our back, and then fuck our ass. Things could be much, much worse. And it was not a bad show.
Is Dave naked on the website?
They have made money on porn, however, so...
Is Dave naked on the website? Is Dave naked on the website? Is Dave naked on the website?
The answer, Missy, is sorry, no.
Is Dave naked on the website?
I'm going to have to go back and listen to that show at some point. Well, I think I can try and get back into this now. I'm not on my game today. And I blame you.
Of course you do.
There's a tag team match. It was AMW versus AJ Styles and Chris Daniels for the tag team titles. And this was a match that got better and better and better, and then it got really, really good. And there were all sorts of the WrestleMania kickouts and that sort of thing. It didn't annoy me as much as usual. For some reason, it worked on this show. Mm-hmm. A lot of "this is awesome" chants, that sort of thing. And then a baton fell from the sky. It was Gail Kim, who had been kicked out of the building, and she didn't leave. She, I guess she'd been banned from ringside, so she went to the rafters. That didn't count as
technically
being
is not
ringside.
At the side of the ring.
She dropped a Delia Bob down, and they used it to hit AJ Styles and pin him, and thus the bad guys retained the belts, contrary to what we reported on Observer Live, of which I blame Dave. And yeah, it was... It was
great, and I, for one, do not mind the screwjob finish at all, because hopefully it will lead to a rematch.
Well...
I'm probably wrong. I'm usually wrong.
Here's the thing with this show. As of the fifth match, which we have not got to yet, this is only the second match. Mm-hmm. By match 5, we were 5 for 5 with fuck finishes.
Well, that's bad.
That's overkill. And I guess the only reason we didn't have such, and we even had interference in, I think there was interference in really every single match. The only one where there was not interference in the actual body of the match, I think, was the gauntlet match. Even the main event, there was interference, but it didn't lead to the finish. And even in, what was the other one? There was one other match that had, the Sting and Samoa Joe versus Steiner and Jarrett had interference, but it didn't lead to the finish. So, interference in every single match with the exception of one.
That's very bad.
And the one where there was not interference, there was interference immediately after the bell rang.
Yep, once again, 800 things happening at once. The TNA syndrome.
It is a syndrome, but this was a very good match. I was going to say a 5-star match, but then I realized I would be giving this match 5 stars, which it did not deserve.
No.
2 thumbs up match, how about that?
A definite 2 thumbs up match.
Then we had an interview with Larry, and A1 was in there doing curls, which is actually the exact sort of behavior I expect from this man in real life.
Perfectly realistic.
And in walked Slick Johnson. Slick Johnson was a ref, and then he became a member of management, and now I guess he's a member of management that just wears a ref shirt everywhere. I have no idea what this man's role is. He came in to tell Larry a new management figure, some bullshit was going to show up soon. Dropped a number of names, including Roddy Piper, Vince Russo, and the Ultimate Warrior. Of course, it will be none of those men, unless something horrible falls through with Jim
I kind of hope, actually. Oh, well.
Ultimate Warrior is the
savior
of the TNA company.
Queering doesn't make the world work.
You'd have a lot of great little speeches you could cut. I bet you could cut that one. We need Bix here to make an AJ Styles joke.
Queering doesn't make the world work.
Or a number of other guys in TNA as well, but we don't need to get into that.
What are you smoking?
So, that was that, I guess. And Larry's still mad at Raven. They're still talking about Larry's hair.
It was just your latest Larry Zbyszko, Slick Johnson wacky skit.
This is your latest long-term, slow-build storyline that is leading to I don't know what. But it goddamn sure better lead to something, because the Gale one sure didn't. Raven faced A1. Raven has dyed his hair light blue. He looks 100 years old. He did not look impressive in the ring. A1 did not look particularly impressive in the ring. The match was boring. Raven ended up, by the time the match was nearing its conclusion, looking like Playboy Buddy Rose, not working anywhere in the same universe as Playboy Buddy Rose, and then the finish was a DDT after interference from whoever the hell A1's manager is. Scott D'Amore. I should know that.
We'll get to him later.
And it was not horrible.
No.
It was just a below-average match.
And the only good thing to say about it is that it was the worst thing on the show, and like you said, it was not horrible, just boring and short enough to not be, painful.
Larry hit the ring afterwards, demanded Raven come out to settle this man-to-man. Raven was exhausted. Hit the ring, got stomped on. Security ran out to break it up. Larry was a madman. Larry was a better babyface here than Rey Mysterio. And I don't think that was supposed to be what was supposed to happen here.
Well, even worse, he was a better babyface than Raven.
Yeah, this was... I
don't know. All I can think of watching this is, look at these two old guys want to fight.
You know, the thing about this show that sort of hit me was the booking up and down this show, with a couple of occasions or a couple of exceptions, sucked. And you're sort of fooled by all the matches being good. But if you just if you pretend none of the matches existed and just look at the storylines on the show, there's still a bunch of problems. The Gail Kim thing with let's go back and see what we've got so far. The Liger Petey Williams thing was just interference. The AMW Gale and Kim thing was just stupid, and it made no logical sense whatsoever. Interference in the second match. Then we had the thing with Larry and the Slick, the half ref, half management, half whatever, which makes no sense as usual. Then you had the Raven A1 match where Raven's a horrible babyface, Larry's a horrible heel. And that was just the beginning. There was much more to come. Bobby Roode and Rhino had a match, and this was fine. Maybe 2.25 stars.
Somewhere in there.
Just a match. A little better than the previous match. Bobby Roode looked fine. Scott D'Amore, another Scott D'Amore match. Here's the deal with Scott D'Amore. First off, he was out in the previous match with A1. He was out, I believe, that's probably Sean. He was out, I believe, in the first match with Petey Williams.
Yeah.
He was out in the Gauntlet match. He's all over this fucking show. He, in this match, not only got the heat for his man, Bobby Roode, but he won the match for Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the point of Bobby Roode even being out there was.
Why
doesn't Scott D'Amore just go all the way and push himself?
I don't know.
Why doesn't he just make himself champion while he's at it?
Why
go halfway if you're going to do this?
I'm really sick of everything about Team Canada. I'm sick of the music. I'm sick of the
it's taking
the
you
gear.
this long?
No, but today it boiled over. I never want to see Scott D'Amore again. I never really want to see Petey Williams again.
I hit this level a year ago.
Yeah.
I was ranting about this a year ago. I don't ever need to see this team again.
This team is so done. Just let them break up. Let them do anything else, please.
So
I
anyway,
beg you, please.
D'Amore got the heat on Rhino, and then D'Amore pinned Rhino, basically, after distracting him with a hockey stick. And then his man hit a lariat from behind. And had Scott D'Amore been in the match, he would have just gotten the pin at that point. So, yeah. The match itself, they both worked very hard, so got to give them credit for that, but too much fucking Team Canada. Then we had Team 3D and the James Gang. They had a WWE-style match. It was actually a WWE-style house show comedy match.
Yes.
They cut promos. The gist of the story was they've only faced one time previously, and Team 3D won with a pipe shot. Not a crack pipe, a steel pipe. And I cannot believe these teams have only faced once. It has to have been only once on TV. There's no way all the years together in WWE during the boom period they never had any matches except once on pay-per-view.
Well, how many times? Because
it's impossible.
Because the Dudleys didn't show up until 2000, and that's right about the time the Outlaws broke up and Billy Gunn went on the shelf.
Impossible.
I know they had 1,000 matches with Road Dogg and X-Pac.
Can you imagine, when's the last time they put a match on pay-per-view that they had not done on the house shows first?
Oh, well, that's the okay. Go back to the first.
I can think of zero.
Yeah. Maybe,
I can't actually even think of any off the top of my head. Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle, maybe.
I don't know.
I'm very, very few.
I'm certainly not about to go back to the 2000 records and find evidence. So
anyway, the point was
they
had a comedy match. It was wacky. Bubba was wearing a black T-shirt, blue jeans, looking so indie. And the match was fine. Another average match. Not a lot of crowd heat. The WrestleMania finishes in the AMW match hurt the show for about 4 straight matches. They'd seen it all.
Yeah.
And these matches could not follow it. Kip got the hot tag, ended up getting knocked outside. Billy did a crotch chop. That was one of the dumbest things on the entire show. Why not just hold up a sign that says "Watch Raw"?
Go get Vengeance, yeah.
And then they ended up pinning Devon with a lead pipe shot. So what goes around comes around.
They got their revenge.
4 for 4, 5 for 5 this match actually with shitty finishes or interferences in the finishes. So there you go.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't have a great desire to see it again, but whatever.
Showed a replay of the Liger match finish. It was, as we mentioned earlier, Petey kicked out of the Liger bomb. Minoru took the ref. Goto hit Petey with a low blow, and then Liger pinned him with a face buster. There were also about 10 low blows on this show. One in particular, which one was a little too much. We'll get to that. The X-Cup Gauntlet match. 4 years I've been waiting for total nonstop action on this show, and they finally delivered.
This was, in fact, total nonstop action.
This was total nonstop action from the beginning of the match until the conclusion of the match. It was basically all of the teams from the X-Cup tournament. The Gauntlet match here, it was like a Royal Rumble, 1-minute intervals. 16 guys came out one at a time. And as usual with TNA, first off, you've got to have a fucking tournament where there's 8 different rounds, 8 different sets of rules, and 8 different point totals for each win. Then you've got to have a match like this where it's a Royal Rumble match, but it's only a Royal Rumble match till there's 2 guys left. Then it's a normal match. So you got to change the rules in the middle of the match to further confuse things. So they had a the problem with this match, if there was a problem, and I love this match.
I was going to say.
The problem with this match is they waited so long to do eliminations that it actually got to the point where guys were running into each other doing spots.
Yes.
That was a problem. There would be a like a springboard into a tornado dive into a arm drag, and somebody would whack into about 3 people, and it was a mess. There was just too many bodies in the ring. And the other major problem with this match is that Jushin Thunder Liger was eliminated by Frank Dukes, the guy from Bloodsport.
I'd be fine with that. Unfortunately, it was not Frank Dukes. It was Tyson Dukes, who's apparently a Canadian person who looks like Steve-O from Jackass.
He was way too excited to be involved in this match. It was
a crime.
The thing also, another problem with so many guys in the ring was when you have so many guys in the ring, you have to decide what you're going to focus on. And I remember there was one spot in particular with Magno where he did an acai moonsault. It may have even been a top rope acai moonsault. And he just acai'd off the screen.
Into space.
They never followed him. They never showed him landing on the guy. They never showed him crashing and burning. He killed himself for nothing.
Yeah.
And Magno, God bless Magno, but I don't want to see him on TNA again for at least 5 years after tonight's performance. He decided he was going to get all his shit in.
Yes.
He decided he was going to put 80 spots in a 30-second period. He was running so fast, he was doing so much stuff that the only thing I remember was his acai in his space, because it was funny. It was like, wow, you just did an acai moonsault into space and nobody in the truck gave a shit. What?
There you go. Yeah, and the other thing is that with so many different teams and so many guys we've never seen before, it was hard to keep track of who was on whose side.
Well, I didn't even bother.
Well,
I was just waiting.
Fair enough.
I just was waiting until there was 2 guys left. I didn't care about who was on whose team.
Yeah.
That would have been absolutely impossible. I didn't even try.
Yeah. So for all these criticisms aside, all you need to know is that every minute another guy came out and did an awesome high spot.
It was.
And it was a lot of fun to watch, and didn't make a lot of sense all the times. But if you're gonna have a spot fest, at least do it like this, where it makes sense within the context of the match. Because every minute there's a fresh guy coming in. He came in and ran wild, and then when his turn was done, it was time for the next guy.
I'll take your word for it. I got lost here when you went in a match context and stuff like that. That went over my head. But it was good. I will give this a hearty 2 thumbs up, much like the tag team match earlier on in the evening. And I will also say this. Those of you that have heard of Incognito, he is in fact I believe the original Mystico. I believe he was around before the CMLL Mystico. He's from Juarez. And a lot of people raved about him for a long, long time. Some people even said he's actually better than the CMLL Mystico. Perhaps he does more impressive high flying, but aside from that, in no way is Incognito better than the CMLL Mystico.
That's for damn sure.
He's larger, his basics need a lot of work. And there was a period when Mystico and CMLL had some rather piss-poor basics, but he's improved dramatically, and he is a fine worker at this point in his career. And this Magno has got a lot of catching up to do.
Incognito.
Who did I say?
Magno.
Oh, I did? They're all the
See,
same.
you're mixing them all up.
All these little Mexicans in their masks.
Yeah.
We need Tony here to make some sort of racist comment.
Darky
to
remark.
Get the board all up in a huff about that. He actually explained that to me. The point he was trying to make, and he did a poor job making this point. The point he was trying to make was, it doesn't matter what the man's nationality is. He could be green for all I care. And he happened to throw out...
The word.
A different word.
A different word instead of green.
So, anyway, he didn't mean to be racist.
Just kind of happened.
Tony's not a racist.
Tony married a Mexican, everyone.
He did. He married my sister, for crying out loud. So anyway, who is... she is very dark.
She is much more Mexican than you.
My sister can go outside for 3 minutes and come back in with a deep, dark tan. And I can go outside for 3 hours and come back red.
Yeah.
Although it turns into a much sexier tan than whatever the hell you develop into, Vince.
How dare you?
You red.
Why'd you bring me into this?
You're a reddy. I'm just going to start making up words now.
I burned today.
You asked me excellent question.
You burned? How'd you burn?
I was out in the sun a little bit.
Doing what? Gardening?
Yes.
I figured as much. Some sort of menial labor.
It was Mother's Day.
So you had to garden for her?
Yeah, that's what she wanted.
Thank God I don't have your mother. I would have went, well, let's try and find a gardener. I'm not going to go.
You're Mexican. Now that's racism for you. That was a racist joke.
That you made?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were blaming me for something. I
No.
didn't say anything like that. Yeah, I am a Mexican, but I ain't gardening. It's just not happening.
Well, there you go.
Here's the deal. I used to have to do a lot of menial labor when I was a child. My dad made me sweep leaves. My dad made me hose leaves down off the fucking driveway. He made me mow the lawn. He made me feed the animals. I developed a hatred towards menial labor.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the work I do now.
Very non-menial.
Very non-menial. And I don't plan on doing any menial labor in my life. If I have to steal money to pay for a house cleaner or something of that nature, I'll do that.
Wow.
But I've done that, and I've done enough of that in my life. I don't want to do anymore.
Well, good for you.
I'll be homeless before I become a gardener.
Okay.
I'll be homeless before I mow another lawn. Someday I'm gonna buy just a gigantic house with another house literally 2 inches away from it on each side, and preferably in the back as well. I want no yard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want a space between the houses big enough for me to walk through. Because if that's big, grass can grow there, which will need to be cut.
Well, the good news is they're making houses that way now.
Great.
You're set.
That's perfect. How do we get into that big rant?
You're lazy.
No, you're the fact that you're a menial laborist.
I did menial labor today. I did gardening and I tore up a bathroom.
The fact that you now have a farmer's tan.
I do, in fact, if anything, have a farmer's tan.
The fact that you are now a redneck.
Yeah, literally.
That's right. I've paid my dues. I don't need to do any more menial labor.
Not even for your mom for 1 day a year.
If my mom really wanted me to garden, I would garden.
Okay.
But she doesn't.
Well, good.
And she lives in an apartment complex.
Well, even better.
You know what else?
Oh, God.
Here's the other thing about menial labor. It's a lot of Yeti's the one that's mostly going like, I'll do something with a wrench or something like that, and he'll go, you know how to use a wrench? Like I've never done this before in my life. Because in the past 10 years, I have, in fact, gone out of my way to not do any menial labor. Because of the first fucking 20 years of my life. When I raked leaves and I mowed lawns. And you know what my first job was? Working for my dad at the fence company. And if I brought my mother on this show, she would say, Brian, all you ever did was cartwheels on the grass when you were supposed to be working, and your father bought you meals. And that did happen on occasion. But I have lifted up very heavy chain link rolls. I don't know if you obviously have never lifted one of those up. A roll of chain link, those goddamn things are heavy. I've dug post holes. I've hammered nails. I've done all sorts of menial labor. I have done this in my life, and I fucking don't want to do anymore.
Pot air.
It's very hot in this house right now.
That's it. I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Let's see. Well, look at that. Norman Smiley doing the big wiggle. Meaning gaiety or merriment.
Story of your life. Apparently that drop don't work.
Is that the awkward silence drop?
Too hard for you? Buddy, find some other sport
That's
to do
right.
Because MMA is not your sport.
Yeah, pussy Vince.
Duh.
Let's get moving. Sting and Samoa Joe and Scott Steiner and Jeff Jarrett was a great match.
It was a thing of beauty, a wonder to behold.
You know, I said long ago that I wanted to see Scott Steiner and Samoa Joe in a singles match, and that was a money match that they had. Mm-hmm. And that they were stupid for putting this match together and putting them in the ring and not saving it. Well, they put them in the ring together, and sweet Jesus, did these two men ever deliver.
Oh, yes. Now we want to see the singles match more. That's
right. This was one of those rare matches where what they did was so great, I'm willing to pay to see them go at it in a singles match.
Yes.
Scott Steiner, this was the best Scott Steiner has looked this century.
Oh, God, yeah.
In the entire 21st century. He had some good days in WCW sort of there near the end, but even then he was falling apart. Really, hey, there's Ken Shamrock.
Ken's hanging out with Boss's bachelor party.
That's right. Anyway, he had some good matches in WCW in 2001. After that, it was really all downhill. He never really delivered it. Pay attention. Never really delivered in WCW.
I was looking for other fighters.
Certainly did not deliver in WWE. Certainly has not really delivered too much in TNA. Hasn't been totally exposed, but hasn't been great. He worked like a motherfucker in this match.
Oh, yes.
He made Joe look like $1 million. He worked his ass off, both destroying Joe and selling for Joe. And I give Scott Steiner today 3 thumbs up.
Scott Steiner is, in fact, the man.
He was great here. And what was interesting was Joe was the man. Joe was the man everybody came to see this evening.
Uh-huh.
He was the one they cared about the most in this match. When Sting tagged in, it was like everybody was disappointed that Joe was out of the match.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they were beating on Sting, nobody gave a shit. The place was dead silent.
Mm-hmm.
And when Joe got back in, the place came to life again. And they did this big, long deal. Sting and Steiner ended up outside the ring. Jarrett went for the stroke off the top rope on Joe. Joe cut him off with a wacky lucha roll.
He did a wacky lucha roll.
We probably didn't need to see that. Joe didn't need to be doing wacky lucha rolls.
No, it was fine.
I don't know about that one. But he hit the Muscle Buster clean in the middle of the ring, pinned Jeff Jarrett, and it was great.
And the people were happy.
They were very happy. They made Joe a star. If they would have had 5 million people watching like on a Raw, Joe would be a draw today. Unfortunately, they had the same 30,000 people that watch every single time, so it didn't really do a whole hell of a lot of worth of good. But at least they It's a deal where everybody watching wanted Joe in the main event, and they figured he belonged there anyway.
Yep.
And the point of this match was to prove it to people, and they were proving it to an audience that already knew. So really, the match really didn't accomplish anything, but it was great.
It was great.
And had it been on a larger stage, it would have accomplished something. I think that's part of the key.
I thought to myself several times during the show, and this is one of them, we talked about after Impact how TNA is now on the Death Watch. And all I could think after this show is that they may be on the Death Watch, but they are going down fighting.
They will go down fighting. And I think the one thing I did not like about this match was afterwards they teased that Joe was going to walk out on Sting.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd really wanted him to shake Sting's hand. And he did, and everybody was happy.
Yes.
Then he started to leave. And then the bad guys attacked Sting. They hit him with chair shots. They laid him out. Joe became aware of this. The crowd wanted him to go make the save, and he just left. And it totally deflated the crowd.
Yeah.
And I thought, what was the point of that?
I don't really know. All this crowd wanted was to see Joe beat people up. And they had seen it, and they were happy, and then they had a chance to see it again, and they didn't get it. So Joe is still the unstoppable monster, but you shouldn't cheer for him, even though they want to badly. The aftermath here was very perplexing, and I didn't like it too much. But everything up until that point was great. It was like maybe they're doing a slow face turn. I don't know.
If they were doing the slow face turn, they shouldn't even done the handshake.
Well, there you go.
None of this made sense, and it deflated the crowd. And this crowd,
this crowd did not need deflating.
It was not as stupid as the Rey Mysterio thing in San Jose or San Diego, obviously, but it was. It still deflated the crowd. It still they paid to see something, and they were not happy with what they paid to see, and it would have been very easy to make them happy.
And this crowd, by the way, we've talked about the Orlando crowd and how they're getting burned out. I think I actually noticed them piping in crowd noise for this show, which would be the first time they've done it for a pay-per-view, I believe.
I don't even know if they can pipe in it for a live pay-per-view.
I could be mistaken, but
crowd sweetening is always for taped shows.
There was an odd little hum of activity constantly in the background, and it was drowned out when the crowd did come up for the big spots. But when nothing was going on, there was just this little random clapping I heard. I could be wrong.
I think you were wrong, and the reason I think you're wrong, A, is because you're always wrong.
Exhibit A.
And
Your Honor?
B is because there were too many points in this show where they actually would have used it, and they didn't.
Okay.
There were a lot of points on this show where I was like, I can't believe how quiet it is right now. And if they were using sweetening, they would have sweetened those spots up. So, and we also didn't talk about Kevin Nash.
Oh,
the other post match stupidity. This actually, I'll be honest with you, I didn't mind it. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I did not mind. I shouldn't say I was totally fine with it because there were parts of his promo that were stupid. The line about how was it incognito in this match, or was it an incognito match because I didn't know who any of these guys were?
That was bad.
They did not need that.
No.
This could be salvaged down the road if Nash accidentally says somebody's name and reveals that he actually does know everybody's name and he was trying to fool people or something of that nature. He gets caught being knowledgeable of the division, but I don't think they're doing that.
No, that would make sense.
The reason I didn't hate this is because usually when they do stupid shit like this, they'll be in the middle of a match, they'll be 3 minutes in, Nash will run out, kill like 4 little guys.
Yeah.
None of them will get any offense whatsoever. He'll leave them laying and looking like absolute dorks. At least in this, you had the deal where
the match ended.
The match was over. Puma had been in there for 20 minutes. They were selling that he was absolutely exhausted and had just been hit by this big move. And then Nash came in and basically beat up his corpse.
Yes.
And it made Nash come off
like a dick.
Like a coward.
Yeah.
It normally doesn't come off looking like a coward. Normally it's 1-on-3, and it comes off looking like a heroic babyface that just beat up 3 goofs at the same time. This was a giant, cowardly man who picked his spot against a beaten-up guy that had been in the ring for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And had just lost the match. So I was actually fine with it.
Now, the only thing I didn't like is that after he killed this guy and then he proceeded to bury the X Division, the other 16 X Division guys did not come out and run him off, including Puma's own teammates. No one cared.
Well, that was also a little bit stupid, but
no, on the whole, so far this angle is not nearly as sucky as I thought it would be.
Yep. What the hell is happening on the boss
Pay
show?
attention.
No, he's about to put his head in cleavage.
Just random. I believe he's at a UFC show. I'm not certain.
There's a barricade.
Oh, he's taking pictures with fans. There's a Oh, hi.
See?
There's some hoochie mamas who
I
recognize
was at
boss.
least distracted by buxom wenches. You were distracted by Ken Shamrock.
That is sad.
That's a huge difference.
Very sad. Hi.
Jay Lethal looked really good, too, I might add, in that match. The gauntlet match.
Almost everyone looked good in the match.
Not fucking Magno.
I said almost. There were 16 guys. The other 14 or so look good.
Main event was Christian and Abyss in a Full Metal Mayhem TLC match. It was a TLC match.
Yeah.
I don't know what the point of Full Metal Mayhem was.
Probably copyright.
It was probably what?
Copyright.
So they can just call it a tables, ladders, and chairs match?
They can't put it on a poster, tables, ladders, and chairs match. They can put it on a poster, Full Metal Mayhem, and the cut promo saying they will use tables and ladders and chairs.
They couldn't just say a ladders, chairs, and tables match?
Maybe they could do that. I don't know.
They couldn't say a match with tables, ladders, and chairs?
I am not a lawyer.
Clearly. It doesn't make sense. It's like, I don't know. There's something about it where a match with, could they call it tables, ladders, tacks, and chairs match?
I possibly, probably.
There's something about that.
Well, I know we have a lot of lawyers on the board.
I know they probably couldn't call it TLC match because that's a WWE term.
Mm-hmm.
But Christian versus Abyss with tables, ladders, and chairs legal. I don't see how you could possibly say that's not allowed. There are tables, ladders, and chairs,
and they are legal,
and they are nouns. So I'm not sure.
I guess they figured Full Metal Mayhem will add buys.
But I think they called it a Full Metal Mayhem TLC match.
They probably did at some point.
They just had to add something to it. Anyway, the match was fine. It was not as good as their match last month, I don't think.
No.
And, they used ladders, they used tables, and they used chairs in this match.
And a chain.
Chain, tacks. The unlucky recipient of the tax this month was one Jim Mitchell, who got a Uranage, I believe, into the thumbtacks. He sold this like a king. Abyss tried a headstand in the corner and got soccer kicked in the balls.
If any of you here, if you look in the sky, you may actually see Abyss's testicles flying by.
I screamed instantly, as you're well aware, because I thought he just kicked him in the balls as hard as he could. And I think he did because Abyss doesn't sell anything usually. His selling consists of, I'll act hurt for 4 seconds, and then I'll start doing high spots again. He was holding his balls for about 30 seconds. And I don't know if you noticed, but when he got up to start doing his spots after just magically not selling anymore, he was walking funny.
I did not notice, but...
So I hope he does not have like a swollen testicle and needs to have it drained. That, my friends, is no fun. But that's the kind of thing that you have to put up with when you are a
professional.
That's right.
Yes.
So that was actually a pretty, Sheik knows all about that sort of.
He does.
He does. They had a good match. It was thumbtack spot, and then Christian went to climb up. There are actually a couple of spots before I get to the finish that were a little scary. A couple of ladder tipping over, crotch in the top rope types of deals where Christian is lucky he did not blow out both knees. And Finish saw him go up to get the belt, but then change his mind. And everybody was screaming. He just stuck his head in that girl's cleavage right there.
Everybody was smiling.
Everybody was screaming at him not to do it, and he did it anyway. I guess they figured that if he did not grab the belt, he would lose, and it would be a screw job, but it was a swerve.
He did, in fact, splash Abyss through the table from the ladder,
and
then just climbed right back up.
Climbed up and got the belt. It was fine. Nothing spectacular, just your basic good main event.
Good main event, and the best part was it decisively ended the feud.
It did.
It's done. This is the end. It was a satisfying conclusion. Then everyone can move on.
Now what?
I don't know. That's the bad news.
Where do they go with Christian?
Maybe Joe. No. They won't do that. Where do they go with anything? Presumably it's still Sting versus Jarrett. That's really the top program.
Actually, they could go with Joe.
If they're going to.
Because
that would explain...
That would explain Joe doing a heelish act. He he would be facing Christian. Steiner was the one that beat the hell out of Sting, so it could be Steiner and Sting at the next show, which I figured they were going to do anyway. And I don't know where the hell it leaves Jarrett, and Jarrett is not usually left out in the cold.
No, Jarrett usually finds some way to get involved.
Oh, sweet jeez, probably maybe a three-way. Joe,
Sting?
Joe, Jeff, and Christian.
That's probably a good guess.
Oh boy! But anyway, I don't know. I want to see Joe and Steiner. That's the only match I care about in this company. I don't know if I'm alone, but that's the only one I'd pay another $29.95 to see.
I would agree.
So,
it's certainly the first match I'd want to see. I mean, I'd be the only one.
This show was a definite thumbs up. I got to say that. And I guess we'll see what they do on Tuesday. Apparently Tuesday it will be, I forget the match. It's P. Williams and somebody, I believe Chris Sabin, in a tiebreaker because Team USA and Team Canada are tied in the X Cup. So they're having a tiebreaker match, which I could have sworn they've done every single time they've done one of these X Cups.
Who knows?
I know they've done it at least once, but so anyway, that's going to be at the tapings on Tuesday for a Thursday air date. There are naked breasts on TV right now.
And there's Boss's face in them. And Boss is happy. Boss is giving me number one.
Well.
Boss is wearing a crown. This is the best DVD ever.
I was unaware that this was a good thing Cliffy ain't here. Luke.
The good thing Luke ain't here. He would say it was nasty.
He would have said, that's nasty, Brian. So anyway, this is a thumbs up pay-per-view, and really got nothing more to add. We'll see where they go with all the storylines. Tomorrow, of course, I'd like to throw in a plug for Figure 4 Daily. Harry Smith will be on.
Holy cow.
That's right, one of his final appearances anywhere before heading to WWE. He's got the Pinnacle show this coming...
Boss is dancing.
He is... What the hell? Okay, hold on a minute. Impact
was halfway done.
I was fine with Impact. I thought it was a pretty good show.
It was a good show.
Till the last 10 seconds or so.
Yeah.
It was, they had Petey Williams and Chris Sabin, the tiebreaker, the World X Cup. No interference. They banned the Canadians. They banned Scott D'Amore. They banned everybody. They had a straight match. And guess which team won?
I'm not the USA!
USA.
That's right.
The USA team won. So I was fine with that. Good match, clean finish. What more can you ask for?
They give him more time than usual, which is good. Probably about 10 minutes or so. And yeah, Sabin hit the cradle shot clean, got the win, and everyone was happy.
Yes. Then afterwards, Kevin Nash jumped him and destroyed him. Chris Sabin gigged, probably for one of the first times in his career. And everybody else had been locked out of the building. At least that was the... they didn't just get sent backstage, they got locked out of the building.
Yes.
Which, I guess, you know, they had to do something that would make sense. But the whole idea that they locked the guys out of the building and they're out there in their gear in the cold.
Car.
Sure.
In the rental car.
Something absurd about that, but at least it was something, so...
Well, they did eventually return. Nash beat him up for a while, cut a promo, and then Lethal and Dutt and... Alex Shelley came down, and Alex Shelley left with Nash.
Did he?
Yeah.
I wasn't paying
And
attention.
Nash's exact words were, "Come on, Alex, it's time to be a star."
Oh!
Yeah.
How the hell did I miss that?
You were typing.
Scott Steiner went crazy. He was mad. He scared Don West, which was one of the highlights of the evening. Samoa Joe came out. They had another stare down, and it was great.
Everyone wants to see Joe versus Steiner.
It was great because Joe didn't say anything, and Steiner was just flipping out in his face, and Joe just looked at him.
Just calmly.
Very, very good stuff. So then they had a match, Joe and Chase Stevens. 3 guesses what happened there. That's your cue, idiot.
Oh, Joe won.
That's right.
Okay.
And then Shane Douglas came out to watch. You know, he was on our show talking about how rehab had been hell. And, well, he looks
like he's been through it.
80 years old. Mm-hmm. He has had a rough last few months. Hopefully now that everything's clean and sober, he can get some sleep and
get back on track.
That's right.
All I have to say is that I think using Shane as anything other than a backstage interviewer is a waste because he's so great at that. And putting him with the Naturals is a double waste because there's no hope for those guys.
Yeah. I'm going to play a song here.
My girl, don't lie to me.
Is that you playing guitar?
Tell me where did you sleep last night?
This is Unplugged.
In the pine.
Dr. Keith Unplugged.
Where the sun don't ever shine. I will shiver
he's
the
freestyling.
whole night through. My girl, where will you go? I'm going where Vincent Verhey blows.
Hey!
That's right.
That's not funny.
That's hilarious.
It's not funny.
In the pines where the PPH don't ever shine, I will shiver the whole Semper Vivi through.
That was a beautiful song right there.
I like the Awapa one better.
I like the fact that he made fun of you in the middle of it.
For no uncalled for.
It was not uncalled for. That was good stuff. We need to make an unplugged CD that we could sell in the store.
Sure.
We've got that one. We've got
This song will not work unplugged. This is going perfect.
you guys suck.
Nothing's gonna stand in our way. In my heart, long lost friends. Right at the end.
These are some words.
Standing tall on the wings of our dreams. Rise and fall on the wings of our dreams.
Jesus.
Rain and thunder, the wind and change. Well, better days. My life, my dreams. Nothing's gonna stop me now.
Whose idea was this?
You guys suck.
That was our idea.
Jesus. Our song blew your song out of the water. Keith and I are going to have to challenge you and Sean to a sing-off.
I will take that duel.
Fine.
I will accept that challenge.
I want you to know that both of those songs were done on the fly, and ours whipped your ass. If we had a little bit of preparation, we'd kill you.
Well, we had no preparation.
I know, and look at how much better ours was.
It wasn't.
Ours was so much better than
Okay,
yours.
you didn't even sing, first of all.
I play the fucking guitar.
You didn't
what did
say
you
playing
do?
guitar. I sang.
No, you didn't. You did backup vocals for Sean.
Backup vocals to singing, you idiot.
You suck.
Oh, fuck off.
We blew you.
Bullshit. Someone put up a poll right now. Which of those songs is better?
It's ours. There's not even a...
Never, ever let him take that choke. Because if you're out, God knows what they're going to do with you.
He might humble you.
Yeah, whatever.
You got served by me and Keith.
Bullshit.
That's fine. Don't get all wacky on me, Vince, just because we're better performers.
But you're not, though. That's the thing.
We were.
No, you're not.
There's going to be a big poll up on the site, and we're going to whoop you.
Which song do you like better? And if we lose, I'm serious. I'm going to bring Sean in here. We're going to do another song, and we'll beat you.
You're 10 fans.
Yeah. They'll vote 18 times each, and I'll win.
We'll see what happens. So the end of the show was Borash interviewing Team 3D, and that was not the end of the show, actually.
No, that's still the middle of the show.
Abyss and Rhino in a King of the Mountain qualifier match, which was won by Scott D'Amore when he pinned Rhino and then beat the hell out of him afterwards and celebrated as the show went off the air.
As his music played.
And that's 98% true. He did not actually cover him for the 3 count, but he did cause him to lose. He did stomp a mud hole in him afterwards, and the show went off the air with Scott fucking D'Amore as the top heel, celebrating the ring having beaten up Rhino.
Bullshit. So fucking retarded.
They got to get rid of Scott D'Amore immediately.
Yeah, they do. Export him.
I'm sure he's a nice
Deport
guy,
him.
but he's got to go. And I don't know why. I don't get it.
So why they don't just do that on their own?
Are 3 out of the 5 people on the fucking booking committee behind the Scott D'Amore push? I suspect 4 out of the 5 are not. So how is his vote weighing more into this than everybody else's?
I don't know.
Does he have weight on his side?
Maybe it's something to the exchange rate with the Canadian dollar. I don't know.
Yes, so that should be undervalued. He should have 1/3 of one vote.
Maybe it's a metric vote.
2/3 of one vote. However the fucking thing works. He's got to go. Show was great until up until that point, and then it was ridiculous. And, yeah.
I watched like 45 minutes of TNA.
Oh, well, we'll keep you on for the TNA recap then.
Oh, okay.
God, the more Tony, the better. We haven't got a complaint about you being on the show yet. But
that's true. Of all the people on the show, no one's ever complained about Tony.
Well, I think everybody knows.
They haven't said any good things either, so...
You're suggesting people are afraid to...
Yeah, if anybody...
because he will ban them?
No, he'll shut the whole fucking website down.
Even worse, just end the world.
Tony has the keys to the website.
That's true.
There's the potential.
Tony is the number one guy.
That's right. TNA. It opened up with Senshi and Alex Shelley versus Shark Boy and Jay Lethal. The match was alright, but it was one of those segments with just too much fucking stuff going on.
Yeah.
You had a match, which first off confused me because it started out like a tag match, and then about 3 minutes in I realized, wait, it's a four-way.
Mm-hmm.
That's never a good thing when you're confused. So they had this match, and then all of a sudden they cut away to the Spanish announcers who were doing something that Mike Tenay described as, quote, immigration reform issues. And I was like, what the fuck is that in the middle of this show? That was all that was said about it.
Yeah.
Just LAX out there with some fucking immigration reform signs. And they spent some time on them, and Conan was sitting there looking surly. And
in his hat.
Sure, and then they cut back. And I was like, what in the hell was that? So then they had the match, and the finish came, and then in came Kevin Nash to beat up the whoever got pinned, Jay Lethal. And then he left with Alex Shelley. And
that fat old man was Kevin Nash?
What do you call him?
A fat old man.
Oh, yeah, that was him.
Wow. Okay,
absolute fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that was Kevin Nash there. So
too. She said, "Is that the guy that called? What was his nickname when I was watching?
Big Sexy.
Or Diesel.
Diesel.
That was in fact Diesel.
I'm glad she remembered Diesel and not Big Sexy. That would have distressed me. But yeah, that was in fact Diesel. Wait till you see him work.
Because he looked like he could barely walk. It looked
Yes.
like he had a really hard time getting up into the ring.
He's had about 42 knee surgeries.
Yeah.
And actually, that's only an exaggeration by about double. He's probably had about 26.
Many knee surgeries. His legs are not straight at this point.
Literally about 26 knee surgeries.
Yeah, when he stands, his legs go straight down, and then at the knees they kind of splay outwards.
Well, some people are like that naturally, bow-legged.
That could be, but
he's also got bad knees.
He's got bad knees.
He also has very thin legs. Do you remember that picture of him in the hospital?
not at home, one of the two.
It was something. It was after he'd had some sort of surgery, and he was in a gown or something like that, and there were just, I mean, literally, toothpicks sticking out. Yes. I mean, these legs were so... The only man I've ever seen with skinnier legs is Yeti. I've actually got a photograph of Yeti where he's standing, and you know the old joke, are you riding a chicken? It fucking looks like he's riding a chicken. I've got to find this picture and put it up on the site. But, yeah, that was Kevin Nash. So, anyway, this actually probably would not have been so bad except for the LAX thing. That really took it down a notch. Because that was the one thing that was one thing too many. And worse, it made no sense. It was just unnecessary.
Well, that and you have the match where the classic question, you have two faces, you have two heels, do a tag match. No, we'll do a wacky four-way instead.
Sure, wacky four-way.
Yeah.
Then we had a... Here's my complaint. This annoyed me throughout the show. It's not a big deal, but it annoyed me. Immediately after this, Christy Hemme comes on and goes, Sting's going to be next. So they go to commercial, and they come back, and who is coming down to the ring but the Diamonds in the Rough?
Not Sting.
No. It was AJ Styles and Chris Daniels versus David Young and Elix Skipper. And they had a tag match, and the idea was AMW was going to cost AJ and Daniels the match, which they did. And, you know, in theory, to set up a tag team match, this is a fine idea. In execution, in a million years, I would never have had David Young pin Chris Daniels.
There's a flaw in the plan.
That was... There's a deal when you try and elevate guys. Chris Daniels and AJ Styles are a certain level, and everyone takes them very seriously. The other two geeks are at a level that nobody takes seriously. They are jobbers.
Well, especially Young.
Yes.
Who did the 2-year losing streak gimmick.
His gimmick was that he never won.
His gimmick was that he sucked.
So when you have him pin Chris Daniels, it's not a deal where they get elevated. It's a deal where you actually figured out a way to take Chris Daniels down a notch.
Yes.
And that totally happened in this match. I was like, wow. Chris Daniels just fucking got pinned. It didn't even matter, the interference. He got pinned by David Young, and
that should never happen.
The only good thing about it was they celebrated afterwards, I can't even say like they'd won the world title because I've seen people win world titles and not celebrate like this.
This is up there.
They had an orgy.
They had a dog pile, yes.
In the middle of the ring.
Remember when the Suicide Blondes won the OVW tag titles like 5 years ago?
Yes,
this was on that level.
Yes, that was also awesome.
Just the only 3 people in the world who cared about it, but they were happy enough for the rest of us.
Sure. So that was whatever. Nails, do you even remember that match?
Well, I didn't know any backstory on that, whether either guy was, who the jobbers were in that one. I honestly didn't recognize any of them. So.
Well, there you go.
I love Tony.
I love having Tony on the show because he's the classic casual fan.
He is. This is
the guy that tunes into TNA after Ultimate Fighter.
Literally.
Yes.
Yes. This is the guy TNA's trying to hook.
That's right.
So we get to see how they're doing.
So hopefully TNA's listening to Tony right now. Sting came out and cut a promo.
Okay, and here's where I really want to turn the channel. I hate that man.
Wow.
Because, part of it is because I swear every angle I've ever seen him do, he does the angle for 6 months, and then we get to see some shitty match.
Well, that
was the biggest angle of his career, that's for sure.
That's fairly accurate.
Come to think of it, actually.
And, of course, the stolen crow thing just bugs the hell out of me, too. But and I don't think he's very good on the mic.
I actually thought it was a good promo last night.
Sting has... His first promo back was pretty good, and since then they've all just been kind of lifeless.
There was this weird game show one.
He says, oh God,
yeah.
He says the right things, but I don't know. He sounds like a preacher playing Sting.
Well,
which is what he is.
That.
So I don't know. I mean, this was not the worst.
He's a preacher now.
Yeah,
yes.
He's a man of the Lord. He's a preacher. This was not the worst thing on the show. That's for damn sure.
That is definitely true.
So Sting sort of was next in a strange sort of way after what was really next. So then Christie said, next up, there's going to be a King of the Mountain qualifying match. I swear to Christ, this is all true. So they go to commercial and they come back, and in fact, it is not a King of the Ring qualifying match. It is B.G. James and Billy Gunn dressed as the Dudleys. And Billy Gunn is actually in not even blackface.
No.
Black body.
They
painted him.
They spray painted him.
Sure, they spray painted him, and I don't know where you find like Negro paint or however. I don't know what the. It wouldn't just be black because he was not black. He was actually.
No, he was very dark brown like Devon Dudley.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was very. It was intriguing, and I watched this thing, and it was like, here's what killed it. Whenever the announcers do that exaggerated laughing to try and tell you're supposed to laugh, it never works on any show. And I'm not just blaming Tenay and Don West because Michael Cole actually is the worst of all.
Yes.
Because Michael Cole is a goof. and it's worse when he's trying to be cool and laugh at something because you're like, well, I better not laugh at that. I don't want to be a dork like this guy. And they did this over-exaggerated, goofy laughing. And, when he finally stopped doing the act and just B.G. James cut a promo on him, that was the best part.
Yeah.
That was significantly better than the actual spoof.
The joke part of it was funny for about 10 seconds. Unfortunately, it went for about 2 minutes.
That's how it always works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only funny for about the 5 seconds they came down the ramp.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I can't believe they just painted that man.
Yes, it's one of those things where a lot of people in entertainment have gotten in trouble for that.
Yeah, but it's wrestling, so it just falls under the radar.
It just falls under it, and it wasn't blackface. I mean, it would have been way more offensive if he had big white lips on him and stuff. No, they just painted him black.
That is, it was, I don't know.
Part of it, too, is that it was Bill Egon.
Yeah.
You can't take anything he does seriously.
He's just naturally, I'm offended every time he comes out.
I see.
It's part of the... So then
because he's bad.
Then we cut backstage for a real interview. It was Borash interviewing Jeff Jarrett and Steiner. And this
is the highlight of the show.
This was so awesome. Scott Steiner flipped out. And it was one of his old school flip outs where he starts screaming and yelling. And,
what were his very first words?
Shut up, Jeff.
Shut up, Jeff.
And he started screaming and told people not to eyeball him. And, of course, Borash immediately looked away like, oh, God, he's going to fucking kill me.
Yes. Borash is awesome. He is so perfect at being the little twerp backstage.
He really is. And it was some good stuff.
It was. Steiner's the only guy on the show sometimes who comes off like a guy who's supposed to be a star.
Sure. And he's one of the guys. This is the key to wrestling nowadays is you need the believability factor. Yeah. And I think that's why people love Samoa Joe.
Yes.
He's a fat guy, but they believe he'd whip their ass.
Oh, God, yes.
And Scott Steiner, they know he's old. They know he's got a bad back. They know he can't wrestle. But I think people think that he can't go in the ring, but if they actually challenged him and jumped in the ring, he'd massacre them.
Well, I think he's got that snap factor.
He does. He has the...
You believe he would, actually snap on you if you said the wrong thing.
And he's still huge.
Yeah. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but he has that roid rage thing going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Speaking metaphorically, of course.
Metaphorically, yes. He's sort of got that. But so then we had the main event. We finally got the King of the Mountain qualifying match about 8 hours after Christie promised it. It was Ron Killings and Monty Brown. Nails, what do you think of the whole idea of a King of the Mountain match? You actually IM'd me about this.
Well, I was going, okay, so is this too close to the old ladder match where I have to go and get the belt? And I just thought it was, so very creative of them to, let's put the belt up there.
It was innovative.
I will never forget, before the first time they ever did one of these, right before the match, they went backstage to Scott Hudson, who said, I'm going to explain the rules of this match. It's really very simple. And everyone in the room started laughing.
Yeah.
The most absurdly complicated wrestling match there's ever been.
Yep, but it's Jeff Jarrett's baby, so we'll always have to see it. So anyway, they had a match, and Ron Killings won. This was Monty Brown's big comeback, his big match after knee surgery, and he lost clean to Ron Killings.
In a bad match.
I believe I missed this whole thing, because this would be the 45 minutes, correct?
Yep, you missed it.
Yeah, that was the end, so yeah.
I have no idea why they did this at this point. I don't know. Maybe they've soured on Monty.
That's what I would guess. That's certainly what it appears. So maybe they figured Monty doesn't want to quit his training gig, and maybe they figure he's not worth investing time in.
If so, they're stupid.
Well,
it's funny. It's like, I sort of see their point. He should be taking more indie dates because he needs to improve. But at the same time, they want him to get his own dates. They don't want to provide him with dates.
Yes.
They provide 3 days a month, 2 tapings and a pay-per-view, and he's there for every one of them. Yet, apparently they're not happy.
Right.
They want him to get more bookings on his own so he improves.
Yeah.
Part of this is their problem.
Part of it is their problem. And, it's this kind of thing.
And also, one more thing. Kevin Nash is so much worse than Monty Brown, and they're still going to use him and push him to the main event,
that
or
is
at least
true.
high on the card. So
that is true. I see a lot of similarities between Monty and Scott. That they both look good. They both have a legit sports background. They're both kind of these wacky characters, and neither one can really have good wrestling matches at this point.
Yeah. So it's a bullshit excuse to punish Monty Brown.
And push Scott.
And push Scott and Nash and the other guys that aren't any good.
Yeah.
And even Sting. I bet Monty Brown,
No. He's better.
I'm sorry, kids.
Especially after last night. This match was not good. And we haven't even mentioned Christian on commentary yet.
Oh, go for it.
Well, your world heavyweight champion, Christian Cage, came out to do commentary, and he sounded so bored with life itself. He was bored with the title. He was bored with the fans. He was bored with TNA, bored with the match. He killed everything. Any heat there may have been for this match, Christian Cage sucked out of it. A charisma sink.
Yeah. So that was pretty
big
much...
thumbs down to Christian Cage in this match.
Wow.
Do people expect more from him than that?
Yes.
They did at one point. I don't know. I don't anymore.
When he was in WWE, he was a guy that everybody thought should be a main eventer, and he was always held in the upper mid-card, and people were very, very upset. He's being held down, this, that, and the other thing. So he finally went to TNA, and everybody was excited because they were going to give him a big push, and they pushed him all the way to the main event, and then they put the title on him. And he's actually, he comes across as the TNA World Champion at a lower level than he did when he was just an upper mid-carder in WWE.
Oh, definitely.
He seemed like a bigger star when he was just an upper mid-card guy than he does now.
He was entertaining then.
And I think part of it has to do with the fact that he just sucks as a babyface, and some guys do.
Yes.
Some guys just fucking... And I was one of them. I'll be the first to admit it. I was the world's worst babyface, but I could be a heel. And Christian may just be that kind of guy.
It could be. He was... People liked him because he was funny. He was exciting. He was...
It's sort of the
he was the creepy little bastard.
He's got the asshole charisma.
Yeah. And now he's trying to play the hero, the White Knight.
Sure.
It's not working.